Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We got a massive slate here, so we're going to try and get through this pretty quickly. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. Make NBA content. All these videos, they get posted to this Reddit. I'll have it linked down below. I make updates with all the news that comes out throughout the day. You're definitely going to want to be here tomorrow with the massive slate. There's a lot of news, a lot of lineups potentially that could happen, so make sure you're over there. I'll have that link down below. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on X right here. We shall go over my FanDuel lineup from yesterday. I showed you guys my Draftkings lineup, and then I'll go over my lineups from tonight in tomorrow's video because the slate's still going on. Alrighty, yeah, this is my FanDuel lineup. Got into the cash decently in high stakes, which was fun. This is the 3-3-3 on FanDuel. Went with LaMelo, Kyrie, Malik Beasley, Jaden Hardy, Scotty Barnes, Zaire Williams, Franz Wagner, P.J. Washington, Trendon Watford. I don't do cores for FanDuel. Maybe in the future if I play. I did play some FanDuel tonight. Played 3 lineups on FanDuel, 2 lineups on DraftKings. So we'll recap those in tomorrow's video. And as always, I do post sportsbook plays. If you guys are into sportsbooks on Twitter, and then if you're looking for more, I post them in Discord, private videos in Discord, cores in Discord, flag plans and GPPs in Discord. Pretty much anything you can think of, I post in my Discord. Why is this game in overtime? I have Jaden McDaniel under points, and I will be so upset if he goes over points. But yeah, super happy getting into the cash and high stakes on FanDuel last night. I will see how we'll do tonight. Not hoping for anything crazy tonight. Had some busts in my lineup. Corey Kispert, I was really high on in GPPs. I think on DraftKings I'll do pretty decent, but FanDuel had some busts. Bilal I had in some lineups. Yeah, I faded chalk Keyshawn George on FanDuel. Maybe that'll help me a little bit. But yeah, I had a decent amount of Corey Kispert and Bilal Coulibaly. So unfortunate there. All right, we got a massive slate. Let's just hop right into it. Let's go over this fairly quickly. Let's go backwards. I think that sounds pretty fun. All right, Lakers at Spurs. Fine spot here for the Lakers. I mean, 80. LeBron's just been popular every single slate. I believe he's popular once again tonight. I have no issues with it. You have a ton of spend ups on the board. It's such a big slate. Ownership's going to be pretty spread out. I think, I mean, with what LaMelo is doing right now, it's absolutely absurd. But like all these spend ups kind of look pretty similar to me. I'll say Cat is one of my favorites. And then I really like Franz once again. But yeah, LeBron 80. I always just prefer 80, especially with LeBron being a lot more popular than 80 of late. I just prefer 80 between the two. But decent spend ups, no strong takes there. I think Reeves is pretty damn solid at 6.5K as well. His usage is a lot better with D'Lo off the bench. So don't mind some Reeves there. Dalton Connect I can't play. Rui, don't love it. We'll just have so much better value. And then if you want like a Giga GPP dart, you could play some D'Lo in large field GPPs. I think that's fine. Should play like low 20s minutes. Good point per minute off the bench, but he is cooked on this team. But yeah, I don't mind some D'Lo. I think he's decent in GPPs. Moving on to the San Antonio Spurs. They're going to be on a back-to-back, so I guess we could have some people resting potentially tomorrow. But main interest here is always just going to be like Chris Paul, Victor Wembanyama, Trey Jones having a good game off the bench tonight at 3.5K. Castle at 5.2 I think is fine. Champagny I think we'll just have so much more better value than like Champagny, Harrison Barnes. But Castle's been playing incredible. I have no issue playing him at 5.2K. He's just going to play massive minutes. I believe Vassell's going to remain out, so his minutes are super. Okay, he's going to be back tomorrow for the Lakers. So that's going to be a downgrade for Castle, but I still expect pretty decent minutes. That's going to take Trey Jones completely out of play for me. The values take a hit. It's mainly just Victor Wembanyama for me on the Spurs. Chris Paul takes a hit offensively as well. Sorry guys, I didn't see that at first. So yeah, not loving too much for the Spurs. Mainly just Victor for me. Moving on to Sacramento, Trey Lyles and DeMar DeRozan are going to be out. So it's going to be more minutes for guys like Keon Ellis, Kevin Huerter. Could potentially see a bit more Doug McDermott as well. See who they're going to start. They could do a number of things with the starting lineup. Once again, they started Keon last game. Huerter went to the bench. They could start Huerter and Keon together. Malik Monk's going to play a lot more, I'd assume, with no DeMar DeRozan. Just keep an eye on it. I think Malik Monk would be my favorite of this group. I actually think he's a pretty damn solid play at 5.4K with no DeMar. I would expect low to mid 20s minutes. We know he's elite point per minute as well for the price point. So I am pretty high on Malik Monk tomorrow in GPPs. He'd be my favorite of that grouping. Keon Ellis, if he starts again, he's fine. And then yeah, with no DeMar, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis get the biggest bumps. Sabonis, good stat sheet stuffer, great rebounder, probably gonna get you a double double. Has triple double upside. She'll play big minutes. Just the spot up against Minnesota isn't the best. And then De'Aaron Fox gonna get a lot more usage, but I would say the price point is about where it should be. And yeah, I really like Malik Monk and GPPs. No amazing standouts with DeMar out, but I think all the top guys look decent here. Malik Monk probably my favorite, just because we'll see what his ownership comes in at. Might be a little bit lower than he should. I'm hoping he goes overlooked tomorrow, but yeah. Let's move on to Minnesota. They're in an overtime game right now on a back-to-back two. They're actually running an 8-man rotation right now with Mike Conley out. So if we get Mike Conley out and we get like another 8-man rotation, I think there's some intriguing options here. I think Rob Dillingham at 3.5K is firmly in play. NAW would be in play, but I prefer the price point on Rob. Although some guys are in foul trouble. And yeah, Naz Reid, if they're going to run an 8-man rotation, probably going to play mid-20s minutes. I have no issue with that. Good point per minute. McDaniels is priced right. Dante, he's been so bad. But you can take darts on GPPs. And yeah, top three guys I think are decent contrarian options on this slate. Not the best matchup going up against Sacramento, but fine options for me. I think if I had to rank them, I'd go Ant 1, Rudy Gobert 2, Randall 3. How I'd rank them point per dollar. And then straight up, it's just Ant, Randall, Gobert. So yeah, if Conley's in, I'm probably not going to touch the value. Let's move on to Toronto. Good spot here for Toronto. Everyone going to remain out for the Raptors. Yep. So you should get big minutes for the top guys. Ochai Agbaji at 4-5. Fine. We can actually just take a look at the last rotation so we can go over it together. They played I believe it's the Pistons. Yep. So yeah, RJ Barrett 34 minutes, Ochai Agbaji 24 minutes. He actually got benched, I believe. Jakob Poeltl 30, Scotty Barnes huge minutes, and then Davion Mitchell played big minutes, and then we know their bench is just disgusting. I love Scotty Barnes. I think he's one of my favorite plays on the board. I absolutely love him at 8.7. He's just running the point right now. We know Point Scotty is just another animal to be messed with in daily fantasy sports. Just like absolute beast. Point per minute beast when he's running the point. I love Scotty Barnes tomorrow at this price point. Really good play. I think RJ Barrett's fine at 8.3, but I just prefer to spend the extra $400 to get up to Scotty Barnes. Good spot here for Jakob Poeltl. I mean, he's been a little bit up and down of late, but as long as he stays out of foul trouble, she'll play all the minutes he can handle. I like his ceiling in GPPs. I'm not going to play like Agbaji. I guess Davion Mitchell is playable at 4.4K. I don't mind that. Usage is going to be really bad playing alongside Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett, especially with him not handling the ball as much too, right? All right, let's move on to it's tough to say right now. We have DeJounte Murray coming back. We have Brendan Ingram questionable. DeJounte, I believe, was just a hand injury. Yeah, so we'll see. I wouldn't expect a limit. Would just be conditioning there. Trey Murphy is questionable. It's tough. If we get DeJounte with the team to himself and no conditioning limit, he would be one of the best plays on the slate. But it's really hard to say right now. So yeah, I sadly can't go over much. But if everyone's out and no limit, we just love DeJounte. CD was on a limit last game. I can't even talk about this Alfred Payton game. Just wild to me. And then, then we can start considering these other guys. I do have some interest in Missy at 4.6K. That does seem a little bit too cheap. So I think Missy's solid for value regardless. And yeah, just keep an eye on the quiet. It's really hard to say right now for the Pelicans. So yeah, let's move right along to Detroit. Cade is doubtful for tomorrow, and we also have Tobias Harris questionable. So they could do a number of things with the lineup here. They could go double big with Isaiah Stewart and Duren. They could slide Auzer into the starting lineup. They could do a number of things. Auzer was kind of limited last game, conditioning, so we'll have to take a wait and see approach here. But with Cade out, there's so much usage to go around, mainly between Jaden Ivey and Malik Beasley. I'm pretty high on Jaden Ivey, even at 7.5K. I still think the price point's a little bit too cheap. He looks solid to me. I like Malik Beasley's ceiling in GPPs quite a bit. He's just going to chuck when he's out there. Tim Hardaway Jr. is playable for value, and then keep an eye on Tobias Harris. If he plays, think he's a decent point per dollar play, and if he's out, keep an eye on the starting lineup. Like I said, they can go a number of ways. They can go double big with Stewart and Duren. They could throw Auzer in the starting lineup. They could go to someone else. So keep an eye on that. I think regardless, if Tobias Harris is out, I would assume Ozer's minutes would tick up a little bit. Definitely some interest there, like him. Good point per minute, right? Tim Hardaway Jr. would have to play a bit more, so keep an eye on it. Simone could even start, even though he barely played last game. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Moving on to Memphis. Ja Morant going to be out for this game. This guy, man. This guy should play low to mid 30s minutes with no Ja Morant. He gets a massive uptick in usage, except for when I play him here. 6.9K, that's just an absurd price with no Ja Morant, so I'm ready to get absolutely killed by Desmond Bane tomorrow. Fine spot going up against Detroit, so I like Bane quite a bit as a bounce back candidate. Jaren Jackson Jr., good defender, can rack up blocks, steals, she'll play around 30 minutes. He also gets a massive uptick in usage with no Ja. I don't mind him either. Scottie Pippen Jr. at 5.9K, solid. Now the price point's down. Wells is fine for value. Brandon Clark, Vince Williams also out. So yeah, we also have Marcus Smart back, so it kind of hurts the value as well. All right, let's move on to the Knicks. All right, phenomenal spot. You guys know. We might have Lively out tomorrow. You guys know what that means. Karl-Anthony Towns going up against Daniel Gafford for the allotment of minutes. I think Cat's one of my favorite plays in the slate. Absolutely love Carl. Even if Lively plays, I absolutely love him. If Lively's for some reason out, I love him even more. I can't say enough about how much I love Karl-Anthony Towns tomorrow, especially if Derek Lively's out. Jalen Brunson, I think, is decent too. I mean, Josh Hart at 7.2 still feels a bit too cheap. There's no way I'm cooking OG Anunoby at this price point. I will let people chase that, but the good thing with him, the minutes are going to be there. We do have Miles McBride back, so that's going to hurt campaign. It's mainly I just love Karl-Anthony Towns thing. Brunson solid, and then Josh Hart super safe, and then let the Slappies chase that OG Anunoby game. Moving on to Dallas, another one where it's tough to say right now. If we get all these guys out, similar to last game where we already have Luka Doncic out, if we get all of them out once again here, then we're loading up on some value. Then Dinwiddie would look phenomenal for value. I'd really like Jaden Hardy for value at 4.7K. Those two guys would look great. Najee Marshall, really good value at 5.4K. Daniel Gafford, I'd like a ton. Even at 6K with Derek Lively out, wouldn't be as good a plays as the others. I'd prefer P.J. Washington as well, but P.J. Washington's super safe, going to play a ton of minutes. Kyrie Irving, although it's not the best matchup for any of these guys, we just have to do a lot more. Would have interest in him at close to 10K. He'll probably be low owned tomorrow too. So yeah, mainly the value would be what I'm looking to if everyone's out here. And then would like PJ, Gafford, etc., etc. If Lively's in, not loving the bigs at the price points. If we get like Clay and Grimes in, I'm not loving the value here. It wouldn't be too much I'd be loving for Dallas if we get everyone in tomorrow. All right, let's move on to Houston. So they're playing tonight. They're, I believe, in overtime right now. But the good thing with Houston, Jalen Green was on the injury report. We'll see if he plays. I think Amin Thompson, once again, is a guy I like quite a bit. Minutes up, down, but should, in games where he's playing well, or if anyone barring any foul trouble, will get extended and just nuke the slate. So if I had to pick one between like Tyrese and Amin Thompson, it would be Amin Thompson. Both getting to the price points to where I think they should be. I think Green's a little bit too cheap. And then, of course, you guys always know I'm always loving Sengun in GPPs. And then Jabari is fine. But getting to the price point to where I think he should be. Moving on to Philly, my team is just such a mess. Paul George, Joel Embiid going to remain out here. I would expect Maxi's minutes to slowly start ticking up here. So with the team to himself, really like Tyrese Maxey at 8.1K. Just so much more usage. Above a 30% usage rate with those two guys off the court. He's going to have the ball in his hands. I really like Tyrese Maxey at this price point in GPPs tomorrow. I'll pray he's low on tomorrow. I think McCain's still firmly in play at this price point too. Still like me some McCain. Kelly Oubre I like in GPPs. She'll play low to mid 30s minutes. Gonna have to take a lot more usage on. He's been low owned every single slate, so pretty high on him in GPPs. Yabusele started. He was actually going to get benched for Drummond until Drummond got into foul trouble. So both the bigs firmly in play, but not must at their price points. And then with Kyle Lowry out, you see some Reggie Jackson at 3.5K, and then keep an eye on Caleb Martin. We could get like a KJ Martin start. He'd be a good value. All right, moving on to Chicago. Not the best spot here, going up against Orlando. I believe Patrick Williams is going to remain out here. We'll keep an eye on that. If he's out, more minutes for like Ayo, Matas, the main guys. Not the best spot going up against Orlando. I think I would assume is still a tad bit too cheap at 5K, 5.5K, so a decent point per dollar play. And then some interest in like Levine, Vooch. They all look similar to me. Now, not in the best matchup. I think my favorite one's probably Io, but all firmly in play, of course. Great spot here for Orlando. I love Franz, even at close to 10K. I know I say even at this price point a ton, but still, I love Franz. I'm just going to keep clicking him until the field finally learns. Had 10 fantasy points at half, and it was 45. Just so much more usage to go around, playing big minutes. Now you have great spot, pace-up spot going up against Chicago. You could see him absolutely nuke here. He's basically running point for this team right now, so just the floor plus ceiling is just unmatched with Franz right now. I think Jalen Suggs is a pretty good play. Like, I'd probably play Jalen Suggs over those Chicago mid-range guys in Josh Giddey, Io. So I'm pretty high on Jalen Suggs. We have Wendell Jr. back, so that kind of takes all the bigs out of play for me. I would expect Wendell Jr. to be on some type of limit. It's going to hurt Jonathan Isaac. Not too high on Anthony Black. I think we'll have better value than KCP. So it's mainly just Franz, Jalen Suggs for me on Orlando. Let's move on to Portland here. Jeremy Grant doubtful, Scoot questionable, DeAndre Ayton questionable. If DeAndre Ayton plays, it takes me off the bigs. With Grant doubtful, I would expect Denny Avdia to move into the starting lineup. Even if he comes off through the bench or starts, I'm really high on Denny tomorrow with no Jeremy Grant. Kamara's priced right. And then if we get Scoot out, Sharp, Simons would be really good plays. Both seem a bit too cheap, especially with Jeremy Grant doubtful. I'd be really high on both of them. So would really like Sharp, really like Simons, would really like Denny. Kamara's fine. And then if Scoot's out, I like Delano Banton quite a bit for value. And then if we get Ayton out, they started Robert Williams. He got hurt. He's out. They'd have to. Klingen's out, so it could be Jabari Walker season. If for some reason he starts, he would be one of the best values on the board. They'd have to play Duop Reith. They could start Duop Reith, so both the bigs would look great here. There's potentially a ton to like here on Portland tomorrow. Moving on to the Pacers. Great spot here. Nembhard, Shepard, Nesmith. Going to remain out here. Quentin Jackson has been starting at 4.3K. I think he's a fair value. I mean, great spot here. Miles Turner should be able to feast. I like him quite a bit. Mathurin just playing massive minutes right now. Can grab rebounds for Pasilian combo. Really good at that price point. I love Tyrese Halliburton at 8.6K. I have a feeling he's going to be really popular tomorrow. And I don't mind Siakam. And then you'll see like some TJ McConnell, but he's basically 5K, so don't love it. All right, last three games here. Let me take a sip of water. Not a good spot here going up against Cleveland. Trae Young is questionable. The massive news here. Last time Trae Young was out, they started Keaton Wallace, but don't play him. He got sent to the G League. Kobe Buffkin has been in the rotation. We also have Bogey back as well. So if Trae's out, they could do a number of things with the starting lineup. They could just slide, Dyson to the point. They could start like a Bogey. They could slide Dyson to the point. I know Garrison Matthews has kind of been out of the rotation, but we know they've done crazy things and started him when he hasn't been playing much. They could, They could even start like a Buffkin. They could do a number of things, but yeah, Buffkin's gonna have to play a lot more if Trae's out. He'd be a solid value. Would like him quite a bit. Bogey, we know, really high usage player off the bench. Even if he comes off the bench or starts with no Trae Young, I love him at 5K. Would love Jalen Johnson. Dyson, solid. The bigs, they're splitting the center minutes. And then DeAndre Hunter is just fine. He hasn't really changed a ton for me, would still be decent. Would like Buffkin. So potentially a decent amount to like on Atlanta tomorrow if Trae's out. If Trae's in, it's mainly just the top two guys for me and some interest in like Bogey. Could see one of the bigs get extended, but forgot to go over Zachary if Trae's out. He would probably have to play a little bit more too. Great spot here for the Cleveland guys. I love the bigs. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. I really like both in GPPs tomorrow. Darius Garland, probably priced right, but this backcourt has just been Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, just absolutely nuking. I like Donovan Mitchell. I think the bigs are my favorite, though. Really like Mobley. Really like Jared Allen. No, I will not be playing 6K Ty Jerome. I just will not be doing it. Okoro will have better value. And that's about it. I think the top four guys here look pretty damn good. Great spot here for the Clippers. Zubac, one of my favorite center plays on the board tomorrow. Should play mid to high 30s minutes as long as he avoids foul trouble and the game does stay competitive. Love Zubac tomorrow. I think James Harden's a really good play. Keep an eye on Norm Powell. Hamstring injury, if he comes back, could be on some type of limit. If he's not on a limit, I like him. And then if he's out, I think, we can look to some value here potentially. Like Chris Dunn would be playable. Kevin Porter Jr. would be solid. I'm not going to pay that price point for Amir Coffey. Derek Jones Jr. would be a playable value as well. All right, Washington solely depends on Jordan Poole. If he's in, I think Kyle Kuzma's a little bit too cheap at 6.5K. Poole would be in play himself, and then I wouldn't be too excited about anything else here. Now, if we get the same situation that happened tonight, happens tomorrow on a back-to-back, other guys could sit here too. It's back-to-back, but Kyle Kuzma was just way too cheap at 6.5K with team to himself. So I'd once again be really high on Kyle Kuzma. Cooley would be in play at 6.1K. Brogdon, I don't think the minute ceiling is really there for him. I still think he's going to stick around that 25-minute mark, which makes him more of a contrarian option for me. And then, they went with Sarr tonight a ton. They didn't play Jonas Valanciunas much at all. So if we're going to go mid-30s minutes from Sarr, he'd be a really solid option. Bub played a little bit, and then Jonas would be a fine value. Would like him as a bounce-back candidate. I think tonight was a little bit of an outlier. And then Keyshawn George would be a really good value. And then Kispert would be a fine GPP play. All right, last game here. Good spot here for Miami. Terry Rozier came off the bench tonight. Another rest candidate. It's back-to-back here. Duncan Robinson started. If Duncan starts, even if Terry Rozier's in, I do like him just because we're playing for ceiling in GPPs, right? And he has the opportunity to get extended and always has the opportunity to go for 40 fantasy points at that price point. Not going to happen often, but it can happen. So I do like Duncan tomorrow. If he starts, even if Terry Rozier plays, I'd feel a lot better if Terry Rozier is out, though. And then main guys look fine to me. I think Bam would be my favorite just because the matchup. He should be able to abuse Taj Gibson, Musa, those type guys. And then Butler would be my second favorite. All right, moving on to Charlotte. How do you fade LaMelo Ball right now? I don't know how you fade him. I think he looks phenomenal. I think Kim Cat looked great. Just look who they're playing alongside. Cody Martin, Musa, Josh Green, Saloon, Taj Gibson, Seth Curry. Nick Smith even got run last game. They're just dominating the usage right now. It's insane to watch. So I'm really high on both LaMelo and Brandon Miller tomorrow. I think Brandon Miller will be somewhat low on tomorrow too. Musa, I don't care that he's going to come off the bench. He still should play around 30 minutes. They're not going to play Taj Gibson too many minutes. So even if he comes off the bench, I think he's a good contrarian option. And then Cody Martin's playable for value. And then I think Saloon's a decent bounce-back candidate if we're going to give him around 30 minutes. Not going to do a ton out there, but 30 minutes, almost flat-man price, I don't mind it. All right, yeah, guys, I'm not going to play Taj Gibson. Then, not going to touch Seth Curry or Nick Smith Jr. All right, that's going to do it for the slate, guys. Hopefully you guys had a great night. As always, I will talk to y'all in the next video.